So Star Wars Rebels ended last night. This is a show that started, I think, my sophomore year of high school, and so it's been 4 years. So I'm out of high school now, and I've been out of high school for almost a year. So it's not been like a childhood thing, but it's definitely been a high school kind of experience for me, and it's definitely been something that was interesting. Now, I've always had problems with Star Wars Rebels. I was the one who made the video of Clone Wars versus Rebels and whatnot, and why Clone Wars is better. And if you look at Rebels, you can see a lot of influences from the Clone Wars to make Rebels better. It's a simple fan service kind of thing that I do appreciate, but also am annoyed with at times. Season 4, more or less, is by far the best season for Star Wars Rebels. There's a lot less filler in these episodes. The reason I had a lot of problems with Rebels in the beginning was there were so many filler episodes that didn't enhance the story or even the characters really, and it was just a mild annoyance for a while. And then you get to season 4, and I don't recall almost any, if very few, filler episodes, which I really appreciate that. So we get to the last, I would say, 6 episodes of the entire show. I would actually even say maybe the last 8 episodes are purely, actually story-enhancing episodes. You have Kanan and his death, and you have the aftermath of that, and then right after that you have the one where they go to the Jedi Temple on Lothal, and then after that you have these the hour-and-a-half special kind of thing. So it might not be 8 episodes, but let's just call it 5 or 6. So it feels like almost half the season is actually good content. Now, the way it ended was very confusing and it just made a lot of questions that needed to be answered. So you go in, and I'm watching the first episode that came out where they bring Governor Pryce to them. It was a very predictable thing. It was the common Rebels feel, silly little plot holes like, why didn't the Empire just bring a big Star Destroyer and start bombing the Rebels instead of trying to take them out in hand-to-hand combat? Whatever. It's stuff like that. But then you get to the last hour and a half, or you get to the last hour of the, entire show, where, this is it. This is how it all ends. It started on Lothal, and it's going to end on Lothal. You have Ezra, who is, spoiler alert, he's going to sacrifice himself to save everybody, to save his planet for his mom and dad. And everything was doing good. It was building up right. I was like, what? This is starting off good. This is, the episode before it was fine with Governor Pryce, and then they caught her, and so now we're at the last hour, and I'm like, this is going pretty well. And everything was going well. And then they caught up with Palpatine, and, they showed Emperor Palpatine, but he looked young. The minute I saw him, I was like, what is that? And it was Palpatine, and I had a problem with this from the start, because I was like, this isn't Palpatine. Palpatine's supposed to look old and wrinkled, and my friends were like, well, he wants to look young and everything. I'm like, no, this makes no sense, because even when he addresses the Senate, he goes, the attempt on my life has left me scarred and deformed. So why is he going back on his word now? And then somebody was like, well, only the Senate saw him. I'm like, that doesn't mean, you telling me they don't have TV? And so that was weird for me, and of course it does show him, eventually turn back to his actual self, but still, I didn't like seeing the young Emperor, because he looked even younger than he did in, like, Episode 2 and Episode 3, and he didn't look younger than Episode 1, because Episode 1 he actually had color to his hair. So anyways, that was kind of weird, and then, like, the Power Rangers showed up or something like that right after, which was also kind of weird. But anyways, I didn't like that aspect of it, but, more or less, I liked the way everything was ending, was kind of wrapping up. When you see the things that came from hyperspace, I can't remember their names. I knew they were going to come back, but I was like, they wouldn't do that. And then they brought them back. I was like, alright, that's pretty cool. And so, it was kind of cool for them to come back. I really wish the Bendu would have been the one to come back too, to mess with Thrawn again. But still, there's a lot of cool things to this ending, and to the, it does feel like an ending, it feels like a series finale. It was weird seeing, kind of Sabine narrate what happened afterwards, but it was also kind of nice, it was one of those, it was almost like a perfect ending because it was peaceful, I like that. I like the whole peaceful ending kind of thing. And, there's always the questions of what happened to Ezra and Thrawn, which is, of course, going to be a question that we're all going to want to answer, even though most of us would assume they lived, even though for me it didn't make much sense, because I'm like, wouldn't the space kind of, like, kill them or something? But it's Star Wars, and, Ezra has the Force, so he probably could have protected both of them like that, even if he didn't want to. So there was that aspect of it. There's a lot of questions like, mathematically, how is Hera going to have a kid for the Battle of Endor and everything. I've always they confirmed that Rex was gonna be in the Battle of Endor, which a lot of people liked and were happy about. What else was there? There was that. I forget his name. The Colonel guy that betrayed the Empire. I really liked his story arc. I'm kind of glad we got to see his arc end. He was a personal favorite of mine. I knew the minute he and Zeb were like on that planet together, stranded, they were gonna like kind of bring him into the Rebels. So I really liked that they fleshed that out and everything. I didn't like that Ahsoka was still around. I really thought like Ahsoka should have been destroyed by Vader or the Emperor or something, because for me it was like, well, if Ahsoka and, you know, let's say Ezra's off doing his own thing, if Ahsoka's still around, why didn't she help Luke? And so it's small questions like that that kind of like, they're a mild annoyance, but it's okay. Overall though, it was a good ending to a decent show that got better as time went on. That is the biggest problem with Rebels, is that it took it 4 seasons to finally find its footing, to finally get into a right position where it's enjoyable for everybody. I did enjoy the season finale, and I was pleased with it and content with it. It had emotional moments like that I wish it would have capitalized on a little more. Gregor died. I know a lot of people were sad about that. I was okay with that. I was more emotionally connected with people like Fives, you know, and Rex and everything. From the Clone Wars series. And then you also have the pig that died with a Hondu. I really liked Hondu in this episode. I liked Hondu in general. He is a fan favorite. And then when his little pig friend died, I was like, man, that's pretty sad. Like, you know, dang. Like, it didn't make me cry or anything, but it was just like, you know, well, you know, that sucks. I liked Hondu, and the pig was a little funny character. And then he came back, and I was like, oh, alright, whatever. It was that was a little annoying, but still. So they missed an emotional moment for this moment. But overall, it felt right, you know. It actually had things that weren't so childish, you know, them actually bombing Lothal City and everything, and seeing the destruction that was going on there. So I liked that aspect of it. I liked seeing the end of everybody's kind of like story arc, except for Sabine, Ahsoka, and Ezra's. You know they're gonna go back and, you know, get Ezra, basically. That's their goal. So, of course, there's room for growth here, and that's kind of what you want, is it not? So, overall, if I had to give it a score, I'd give it about an 8 out of 10. The reason I wouldn't even give it a perfect score is because it made too many questions that were unanswered, in my opinion, that I really just wasn't fond of all the questions that we had. And there were, of course, some missed opportunities here. So, but that's just my, you know, personal take on it. Overall, I will say it was a good ending to a decent show, and it's an ending that they deserve. You know, it's something that Dave Filoni wanted. He wanted it on his own terms. The problem I've had with other seasons that Dave Filoni wasn't a director over a lot of the episodes, especially some of the filler episodes. But this one, I think the last 3 episodes, he was the supervising director, the director, and I think the writer. So Dave Filoni is good at what he does, especially if he commits himself to it, and so I like that about him. So comment your thoughts below. What do you guys think about the Rebels season finale? Are you gonna miss the show? I personally am not. I think it's been a solid show, but it is time to move on to something bigger and better. The show has just never lived up to what it could have been, and obviously with Season 4 it could have been something better. Seasons 1 and 2 I completely just never really cared about, and then Season 3 is when things were like, oh, this is getting a little better, but Season 4 is by far the best season, because they actually committed themselves to doing something that wasn't filler, something that was different and it was new, and I really like that aspect. So Season 4 is by far the best season, but now the question is, what now? So, comment your thoughts below. I'm Star Wars Only. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will see y'all next time. May the Force be with you, always.